T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
All right. Welcome, everybody. You get the Horn Sports. And, man, we got a lot to cover. We got a lot of interesting things. This might be the biggest episode that we've ever done for our sports show for a very specific reason, because as we are nearing the holidays, we will be taking next week off, the week between Christmas and New Year's, to take a break from this, take a break from each other, take a break and spend some time with our families and all of those things, and come back refreshed after the new year. So this will be our last episode for a little while. This one is going to be supersized, and I can tell you that there's a high likelihood that we will cover not only more content, but a greater number of sports themselves than we have ever talked about in a single episode. I can honestly say that this episode covers everything from the NFL to UFC to pickleball and lots more. So, yeah, we've got plenty happening, and we're going to dive right into it. So, obviously, Tad and Jeff here to escort you on this ride. Jeff, how you doing tonight, brother?
Hey, good, man. I'm glad the week's almost over. Oh, wait. It's not.
That's right. Not
Never
quite.
mind.
Not quite.
Never
Not
mind.
quite.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, we got plenty to talk about. I don't know. You want to start with the NFL side of things and maybe just kind of very, very briefly touch on the week that was in the NFL and then looking ahead as well. What jumped out to you from the weekend?
Man. Well, I'm going to get started right away on this.
All right. The guns
Pittsburgh
blazing.
Steelers lose their third in a row. This marks, I want to say, the 6th or 7th year in which the Steelers have had a 3-game losing streak, something they haven't done in quite a long time. We lose our safety, Minka, during the game, and then turn around and lose DeMonte Casey because Gardner Minshew hung out Michael Pittman to be completely destroyed. News just came down before we came on. Casey is now suspended for the entire year. Says one Mr. John Runyon. If you go back and look at Mr. Runyon's history in the NFL.
So great.
Yeah. Check out many videos of Mr. Runyon and his extracurricular activities. And this was a football play. Look, was it a nasty hit? Yeah, absolutely. It was a hard hit. It was a football hit. Didn't hit him in the helmet. It wasn't helmet to helmet. He led with the shoulder. I don't know what else what a DB is supposed to do in this situation. I just, anyone that comes out and says like just dirty and whatever else you want to say, the only other option was to let him catch the ball. And I think that's what we're getting to. And I texted this during the game, and, I was a little upset how the game was going, obviously. Steelers blow a 13-point lead, get blown out 30-13. Which something we can get into later on. Maybe, I don't know. I'm about done talking about the Steelers at this point. Just a terrible, terrible season. But I texted and said, football as we know it is just about done. And I'm not sure I'm going to stick around to see what the product becomes. And that's a bold statement because, I love football. Football's, my passion. I've gotten my 8-year-old into it. He's every time, come on, Dad, let's go get changed. Let's get our jerseys on, and he's in it, lives and dies with it, and it's hard to take that away. But dude, for me, it's becoming unwatchable. I don't want to see 63 hung on any team.
Nope.
I want to see defensive battles. I want to see, and I get it. They don't care about the hardcore fans. They only care about the casuals. They care about the Taylor Swift people. Speaking of Taylor Swift, did you see the girl say that she got booed at Gillette Stadium for having like, come on, man. What else did you expect? You come in here in a Taylor Swift jersey. You're an opposing fan and you get booed, and you wanted to make sure everyone knew about it. But I want to read you something from Mr. Tom Brady, and far be it from me to become a Tom Brady fan, but this is what he said. Nobody likes seeing players get hurt, but hard hits happen. Quarterbacks should not be throwing the ball in areas where they're exposing their own teammates to these types of hits. Coaches need to coach better. QBs need to read coverages and throw the ball to the right places, and defenders should aim for the right hitting areas. To put blame on the defensive player all the time is just flat out wrong. Need better QB play. It's not okay, QBs, to get your wide receivers hit because of your bad decisions. It was an awful throw.
Yeah.
Michael Pittman lays out for it. Three defensive players around the ball, and now you're suspending this guy for the rest of the season without pay, and here we are.
Yeah.
You want to give him a 15-yarder? Fine. I thought the ejection was way too much, but you want to do that? Fine. Go ahead. But now you've suspended him for the entire year. You've got someone like John Runyon coming down with these decisions. An awful dirty player in his day. Just say what you want. Go back and look. Just go back and look at his history.
Yeah.
Awful dirty player in his day. And now Steelers are now down 2 other safeties. No middle linebackers to speak of. And, here we are in this awful, dreaded last 3 games of the year. And it's just, what a mess, man. What an absolute mess. I don't know if you saw the hit. What you thought of it, but
I didn't see it in real time. But I've seen lots of clips of it at this point.
Yeah.
Here's the first of all, I don't want it to be out there publicly that I said that I agree with Tom Brady. But
trust me, I know it hurts.
But this is like a hard to argue with statement by Brady, right? I mean, Brady was a whiner. He was, all the negative things that you can say as it pertains to, complaining about calls, complaining about the refs, all of these types of things. But he's not wrong about this. And I think I don't disagree with you either about the hit. I think the difficult part, and again, this is, the Pandora's box opened as soon as there was instant replay. Right. I mean, that's really the NFL. The moment that you open that Pandora's box of instant replay, slow motion, all of these things, man, we were going to get here. Right. There was no doubt this is where we would end up at some point, because you can slow it down to frame by frame and just seeing everything. But the one thing that I'll say on the tackle that I am curious if the league would not have ruled it a little bit differently is anytime that the defender has his arms basically at his sides. And so, yes, he's leading with the shoulder. Didn't really lead with the helmet, led with the shoulder. But at a diving player, if you just had your hands and you push the guy down, you have your hands up in front of you to like make the tackle. It seems like that's what they're looking for, is if your hands are at your side, it almost doesn't matter if it's the helmet or the shoulder, but it's that intentional like lean down and into to make contact. That seems to be where the league is really cracking down. But again, we're talking about plays that happen not even in tenths of seconds, but in hundredths of seconds. Body positioning, speed, all of these things.
Reaction. Let's just say reaction. This is what he's been trained to do his entire life, is react. Dislodge the ball any way possible. Yeah. And you just don't make that type of a throw. And then Pittman diving for it as well. I can't blame Pittman for diving for it. And look, I don't want him to get hurt. Like I don't. Michael Pittman's a great young receiver. Like the league's better with him in the NFL. And it could have been a really bad, nasty hit. Like I could understand if it was helmet to helmet, something else, but if it's shoulder, I have a hard time with it. And then to suspend him for the entire year, and I'm sure they're gonna appeal it and do whatever they can. But he's not gonna be playing the next game. I mean, they're it's not like going to be a situation, it's going to be a quick ruling, and I'm sure they're going to stick with it. And that's going to be it, because this is what the player union does. Again, player union don't care one lick about players or player safety. The only thing they care about is that contracts that the quarterbacks get and the receivers
it.
get and defensive ends get. They don't care about anything else. They just want to see that, hey, the players get 51% of the revenue.
Yeah.
That's all they care
Because
about.
that's how they get reelected. They get reelected. The NFL Players Association, those are elected roles. They get elected because they can prove that they made more money for the players. And so therefore that's all they care about.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, but that's the deal.
No, it's just ridiculous. We can get
now,
back
I will
into
say
it.
this, just briefly though. I'm curious how long the suspension would have been. Because there's only 3 games left in the season. So it's kind of like, okay, but if this had happened week 3, what would the plan be? Like, would it have been a 3-game suspension, a 4-game suspension? Maybe they would have looked at it and said, well, we'd have given him 3 games regardless, and this is those 3, and that takes him through the season. It's hard to say, but they want it to be vague because they want to leave the door open so that, and this is, again, part of that conflict that continues to happen between the NFL and the Players Association. Because if the NFL was transparent and said, well, look, we were going to give him 3 games, and that's through the end of the season. Well, now that means no matter how egregious the same type of hit is later, they can never, ever do anything else because they've shown and specifically said that this is the number of games that they would give. And so you end up having this Players Association that's just waiting for you to make any decision so they can hold it over you forever. Versus just being able to say, look, man, we're taking it case by case. We look at this one, we feel this way about it. It's like, well, nobody thinks that's fair. And so it's like, how can you be consistent? I think it's challenging.
I'm sure it's challenging, but I mean, that's what you get paid to do. And that's, you're looking at it, they're saying a history of it. And yeah, he's been fined, I think 5 times this year. I think he's beaten a few of those fines though. And a couple of them happened in the same game. He's not a headhunter. He's not like going out and looking to like, they showed 1 or 2 of the quote fines that he got. And, it's the same as Patrick Ricard, or a running back putting their helmet down, to try and block a guy running at him, 15 miles an hour, 250-pound guy coming straight at you. So it's just ridiculous. Like I don't know how you defend and say, yep, absolutely. Like I don't care. Like if that would have been reversed and that's someone that hit Pickens, I'm like, man, what else do you want him to do? The dude's diving for the ball. You can't just let him catch it and then hope that he just doesn't catch it because he's diving for the ball. It's just, it's becoming too much, man. It's becoming almost to the point where it's just, I won't say unwatchable, but it's just, when does it end? Does it end? It's absolutely. And like, I don't know if I want to see what the new iteration of this is, what this is going to look like, like, are we literally just saying, let him try to catch it and then try to punch it out afterwards? Like, come on, man. Like, there's got to be something. There's got to be some middle ground here for this kind of stuff. And again, awful throw by Gardner Minshew. So fine him for making just a god-awful, terrible throw. Yeah. You can't put all these wild hits and hard hits have just literally come because these quarterbacks who aren't very good are just putting these guys, in just bad positions. You're throwing the ball behind them. You're throwing it to where they have to dive for the ball, and just plays that you shouldn't be throwing. You shouldn't be throwing it to that area. And now the receivers are, required to catch whatever comes their way, no matter what it looks like. Yeah. I was like, come on, like you've got to make better throws than this, but I digress. I will go back on here and say the Steelers were up 13-0. Do you know what Bill Cowher's record was when he had a 10-point lead?
When he had a 10-point lead, I'm going to say he was, and I do not know this, right? So I'm totally making up numbers. I could be off by a mile. I'm going to say he was 52-13.
108, 1-1.
Oh, wow. There you go. You shouldn't be losing those games that often, man.
No.
A 13-point lead, you should be able to hold on.
You should be holding on.
But that's amazing. 108, 1-1 is pretty amazing.
And I'm telling you, there were fans at the time who were ready to run him out of the building as well. And you have so many apologists for Mike Tomlin. I don't understand it. I don't get it. congratulations on never having a losing record up until this year. Zero chance he's not going to have a losing record this year.
You think
Man,
so?
it's time.
You think this is the year?
This will be the year. I mean, this is the year. I mean,
it feels like it should be, but I just wasn't.
Yeah, with the games remaining, I mean, come on. You lost to two win teams back to back at home.
That's insane. That's impossible to even imagine. And I don't care. Like, here's the problem too. Just to be clear for people that are out there listening to this, who are naturally now trying to say, well, Pickett's been injured and this and that. You were playing teams with injured players, backup quarterbacks, and these types of things. Like Gardner Minshew put up 30 on you. So yes, you had your backup in, so did they. And if like the teams that are beating you, they are also missing players. There's lots of teams this time of year that are missing players. Like that's just part of the deal. I mean, it can be a reason for losing. It can be a contributing factor, but it can't be the excuse.
No. And again, it comes down to, your players, your personnel. You have, people out there like Rich Eisen. It was like, essentially Steeler fans are idiots for wanting anything to do with Mike Tomlin leaving. And I'm not saying I want Mike Tomlin to leave. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need a complete overhaul. Offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, offensive line coaches. I'm saying we need a complete outside the organization hires.
Yeah.
No more hiring from within. This is not a good enough
what
team.
you guys do. Like the Steelers do not do outside hires across the board very often.
No.
I mean, they want to always promote their coordinators from within, grow their coaching staff, all of those things. And there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, oftentimes that can yield positive results, but it hasn't been for quite a few years now. Correct. For the Steelers.
Yeah. I mean, when you've won 2 playoff games and I don't know, what's it been? 10 years, 9 years, 13 years, whatever it's been. I don't even know these days. Yeah. I just get so frustrated anymore watching this team, seeing both sides of the ball and the talent on both sides of the ball and seeing this team play the way it is. They've quit on Tomlin. And when your team quits on you, it's time for a shakeup. Yeah. Whether that's Tomlin having a reset year and just saying, okay, and this is going to have to come from the top. Yes. This can't be something that be Tomlin mandated. This is going to come. This has to be a Rooney decision. This has to come from the top. He has to say, "All right, Mike, we want you here, but we're not doing this hire from within thing anymore. Go out, find a new offensive coordinator, find a new defensive coordinator, and let's get this ship righted. Let's get back to the Steeler way, the Steeler, of Steeler football." I don't care. You got to trade Pickens. You got to trade Johnson. You do whatever you got to do. I don't care. I'm tired of these guys. Fine. You want to have one diva on your team? That's great. I don't know if you saw Deontay on his Instagram posted a picture after the loss of him scoring the touchdown.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? And he has been like, we're not going to turn this into the Steelers show. We've already talked about it way too long. But yeah, that's how many times? How many times does the same stuff happen? The same behavior, the same conversations, the same questions. Tomlin supposedly talked with him multiple times, all the things, and nothing changes at all. No. There is no adjustment, no change. And whether that is a lack of respect between the player and the coach, the player and the organization, or whether it's just a personality flaw, it could be any number of different things. But all of it is wrong. All of it's unacceptable.
Yeah. And you have George Pickens once again not going out, making the block. Jalen Warren gets stuck at the 2 when it should have just been an easy run and touchdown. If he just even put hands on the guy, Jalen Warren scoring at that point. So just an overall embarrassment. We do get a Christmas miracle. Rudolph, how fitting, will be starting Saturday.
That's right.
Not sure it's going to make a lick of difference. I really don't. But I'm just
can't imagine.
I'm just ready for anything else than Mitchell Trubisky. This guy may not get another job. He's going to be a third quarterback on a team at this point. Yeah. I just cannot imagine anyone seeing his performance and saying, I think he'd make a good backup for our team.
No. He doesn't seem capable of being a backup quarterback in the NFL anymore. which is amazing to think of.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at his win-loss record with the, just overall, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
He's gotten so bad since he went to Pittsburgh. Like, I don't understand. Like, how did he start his career with Chicago and be so much better than since he's gotten to Pittsburgh with real legitimate receivers and running backs and talent on the team? He's so much worse.
Awful.
I don't understand.
I think he just had to have he's just so gun shy. If you ever watch him throw, it's always off his back foot. Yeah. That man is never planting and throwing the ball. All the talent in the world. I mean, he has the talent to be a top 12, 13 quarterback in the league. I promise you he does. He's got the arm strength, mobility. He can run. It's amazing that he just cannot put it together, and he's become so gun shy out there. So I will say, for everyone who hates Kenny Pickett, last 11 games that Kenny has started and finished, the team is 10-1. So you say whatever you want, and I'm not saying we don't want to go out and grab a quarterback in the draft, free agency. I'm fine with that, but this isn't a Kenny Pickett issue. This is an organizational issue. But I digress. What do you got? Because I spent way too long on this.
Well, look, I mean, there's plenty of things to talk about from the weekend. I don't think we have probably the time to do it right now, but I mean, we got the Raiders just destroying the Chargers doing what we have been advocating on this show for a year now for the Chargers to do, finally cleaning house. We just recently had, videos out that got traction on YouTube and everything about the Brandon Staley and Tom Telesco, the general manager, both needing to go, and how Telesco had stayed under the radar and everything else, and they cleaned house in L.A. Sorry, I keep calling them the San Diego Chargers. The L.A. Chargers cleaned house, and it was well overdue. Outside of that, I mean, it's odds and ends. There were some really good games, some interesting games, some games that, you wouldn't have been surprised by. I think Texans-Titans ended up being a little bit interesting without C.J. Stroud in there.
Yeah.
Texans still won the game, but I'll tell you an interesting stat. Derrick Henry, running back for the Tennessee Titans in that game, had 20 touches for 10 yards from scrimmage against the Texans. That's the fewest yards by any player in a game in the last 75 years with 20 or more touches. It's almost impossible to have 20 plus touches and only be able to get 10 yards. Yeah, it's just unheard of. And that's Derrick Henry.
Yep. Yeah, it's not Najee Harris running the wrong way. That's Derrick Henry. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Bills put a beat down on the Cowboys. So that was
a little surprising to me. Yeah. I will say Cowboys haven't been good on the road. And it showed, but that was just that was just a butt stomping. And look, the Bills have a clear path now back to the division championship to win that division, which is something we would not have thought of 3 weeks ago.
No.
And they've righted the ship. I guess that 9/11 story really sparked the team. I don't know. I guess they realized and really put it together. You know what? He was right. They really did act as a team there.
I was looking to see if I had this stat I had sent out about Dallas's road. I think they had lost 4 of their last 6 road games or 5 of their last 6. I don't have it in front of me now, and
one of those was to Arizona. So I mean, it's.
And again, we said on this show a couple of weeks ago, everyone's so hyped up on Dallas, everybody's all excited, and we said this is the time of year when Dallas typically becomes Dallas because the games start to mean something.
Don't get it. What is it? What changes when December hits that this team does not put it together? It's amazing.
Yeah.
How about Baker Mayfield?
Yeah.
This is insane to me. When I heard this, I was like, this cannot be true. That was the first time an opposing quarterback had a perfect rating in Lambeau Field ever.
It doesn't seem possible.
No, how has no one ever done that?
Yeah.
And it's Baker Mayfield, who, by the way, is on pace for a 4,000-yard season, almost 30 touchdowns, 10 picks. I mean, he's going to be 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Man,
I
he's
think the Bucks
playing
found their
well.
guy. Bucks, I mean, as of right now, it seems like they found their guy in Baker.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he's a free agent come this after this year. So there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be biting for his service. I have no idea if they can tag him or not, but if they can't, boy, they need to get a contract put together pretty quickly for him. So,
Absolutely.
not the team is amazing, but I mean, look, they're now leading the division, and they also have a very clear path to the playoffs, and honestly, a home game. So,
yeah. No, there's a lot happening there, man. There's no doubt about that, and it's going to be interesting to see how it continues to develop because, I mean, there are a couple of those teams. Bills are one of them, and others where it's kind of like, okay, let's see how things continue to shake out as we get further and further into the season and closer into this postseason because there's still a whole lot of jockeying for position.
yeah,
We saw this the Ravens and the Jags game. Really 3 straight losses for the Jaguars now to AFC North teams. So that's that their things are slipping away for the Jags very quickly.
Yeah.
So
we said it last week. Colts are right there. Colts
Yep.
have a chance to take the division there too. So
Yeah.
I saw this today and I was like, man, this would be fitting if he's gonna decide to go out this year. And I don't know that he will because he's having a real resurgence of a year. But right now, if the playoffs ended, the Los Angeles Rams would be playing the Detroit Lions in Detroit.
Can you imagine?
Now, that's a cool way if Stafford's going to go out.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of rumblings last year that he may not come back this season.
Yeah.
If he decides like, hey, this is it, that's a cool way to go out, man, to come back to the home where you started.
Yeah.
I said Sunday I was at my father-in-law's for his 70th, and, we were all sitting around talking football, and I said, the Rams are going to be a very, very tough outcome playoffs.
Yeah.
They can get there. Now, there's a long ways to go. 3 weeks is a lifetime right now in the NFL.
No kidding.
It's literally a week-to-week thing. 1 week Dallas is going to take the division. Next week, they're hanging on for a playoff spot. They did clinch this week, but oddly, because the Falcons lost, which I didn't quite understand, but here we are.
Would never think they'd be relevant to the playoff picture.
Yeah, exactly. But the Rams are going to be a very, very tough outcome playoff time. Their defense is starting to click, and that offense is a great, great offense. Kyron Williams, someone said today, and I was like, man, that's a good comparison. They're comparing him to Arian Foster. It's like, man, that is such a good comparison. His kid has come out of pretty much nowhere and really has started taking over, at the running back spot. So
if he can stay healthy, man, that's the only thing that's limited him. If he can stay healthy, he's done a fantastic job. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they continue to build momentum. And I do think, we've been touching on it each week. I think it's probably worth talking about, particularly after this Ravens game. There's a lot of talk during the Ravens game about, everybody's so high all of a sudden on Lamar Jackson because he was pretty masterful at times in that game and just made some amazing throws. And so now you started hearing so much talk about Lamar working his way back into the MVP conversation and, all of those things. I'm going to leave Lamar out of it for a second, but I had an interesting kind of comparison here between Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy looking at the MVP. So Purdy is 11-3, Dak is 10-4. Purdy has a 119 passer rating, Dak has a 104. Purdy has 29 TDs to 7 picks, Prescott 28 TDs to 7 picks. Brock Purdy 3,795 yards, Dak Prescott 3,639. Brock Purdy 69.8% completion, Dak 68.8, and Brock Purdy 9.9 yards per attempt, Dak 7.5. So in every single statistical category, they're very close. But in every single one of those categories, Brock Purdy leads. So it would be difficult as things stand right now to think that he gets that over Brock. It's hard to believe that Dak would win MVP when you look at their stats and you realize that Brock edges him out in almost every important category.
I saw this today. passer rating, passing TDs, passing touchdowns to interceptions, passing TDs per attempt, yards per attempt, yards per completion, and wins. Brock Purdy is first in
That's
every
crazy.
single one of those categories. And on his, for him, he's pushing for Christian McCaffrey as MVP.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is, again, just another leadership quality that
Yep.
he has. So, yeah, I think right now it's probably, and this could be something that it could end up hurting both of them, is that they could be stealing votes from each other. I think Dak probably played his way out of the the MVP
Yeah.
race this year based on that game last week or yesterday. Purdy definitely has just played himself right back into it. So,
Well, and I'll tell you this too, just to add to that. Most games this season with 4 or more passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Brock Purdy has 3 of those games. There are then 11 quarterbacks tied for second place with 1. So, I mean, it's just, look, Brock Purdy is not the most dynamic quarterback. He's really not the best quarterback. And if you really looked at the MVP, what it really stands for as most valuable to their team, it would be Lamar, right? Lamar is far more valuable to the Ravens than what Brock Purdy is, because there are 15 other quarterbacks. If you put them on the 49ers, they're still going to be a very good team because they're such a good, well-rounded roster. There are not 15 other quarterbacks that could go in and do what Lamar does functioning within the Ravens offense. So if it was truly who is the most valuable to their team, it would be Lamar. But in terms of statistical numbers for a quarterback, I mean, it's Brock Purdy. It's hands down. There's not even an argument to be made for anybody else right now.
No. Before we jump off the Ravens, I just want to wish a speedy recovery to Keaton Mitchell. I just
Yes.
It looked awful. They said ACL. I can't imagine that's just the ACL based on the way that leg buckled. Just awful, because he was just having a fantastic year. I mean, my hope for him would be to go back in the weight room, put on maybe 5 pounds if he can, 10 pounds, just so he can be in the game in some of those crucial situations. You saw like he would have to come out. Justice Hill would come in because, he can't withhold some of those blocks. So it'd be nice to see him come in and be like an every down type back, because he's special, man. Like he's got that breakaway speed that we don't see too often with these guys. Great vision. Just a terrible, awful injury. So hopefully he hurries back. Just again, man, Ravens and their running backs, they just cannot keep them healthy for whatever reason.
Brutal. Yeah, it's brutal. And he's been playing so well, as you mentioned, and really an undrafted free agent, who has been able to come in and do some incredible things. So, yeah, Keaton Mitchell, that's a tough one. Certainly hopeful. Maybe we'll have to reach out to our buddy, Dr. Jesse Morse, and see if he wants to come on and talk a little bit about what that looks like when we find out a little bit more.
Yeah.
We know it's a knee injury. We know he's out for the season. It's likely going to be minimally an ACL. But I'd like to hear the full diagnosis, and then maybe we can have Dr. Morse come on and tell us a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. Sounds good.
And then there was one other thing that I, just closing the loop here on our Brock Purdy MVP conversation. Saw this the other day. I'm going to, this person is selling their Brock Purdy MVP bet. They bet $2,000 on Brock Purdy to win MVP. It would pay out $200,000. They're selling it for $100,000 right now.
Is that not genius?
It's pretty daggone smart, man. So, I mean, and it's very obvious, like, hey, to win for Brock Purdy, $200,000. I mean, and he's the odds-on favorite to win MVP. So right 100%. Now, somebody could buy this ticket for $100,000 and make $100,000, make $200,000, but $100,000 profit if Brock does go on to win MVP.
I don't ever remember seeing this before. I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure it probably happens, but how genius is that, man? Like, I might just go out next year and just take a $5-10 flyer on every single player, and then just start putting it up. Once they have a good game, just put it up.
Yeah. They get
Post
closer
it
to the
up.
end of the season, and then it's like, hey man, okay, well this one's worth 100,000. I'll sell it for 40. I'll sell it for 80, depending on,
Yeah.
how likely they are and all that stuff. I mean, it's super smart.
Yeah.
$2,000 investment to make 200,000 if it wins. That's if nobody buys it. Somebody buys it, he makes 100,000, right? So it's like it's kind of a win-win, man. It was very smart.
And honestly, if you had 100, I mean, I don't know. I guess, well, if you're Drake, you just bet whatever and to win whatever. He doesn't care. But I guess if you have 100 grand to spend, or I don't know, are you spending 100 grand to win 200 grand? It's still good money, I guess.
I'd say most people would like that idea.
And if
you double your money that quickly.
Yeah, and if he goes out next week and puts up the same type of numbers, and no one buys it, the guy's probably going to raise the price up another 10 grand. Why wouldn't you?
Shoot, I'd make it 150 at that point.
Yeah, at some point,
Why not?
all right, I'm just gonna, I'll just hold on to the ticket at that point. But genius. It's just stuff like, why can't I think of this stuff?
I wonder the same thing all the time. I don't know why you don't think of this stuff. And in a little bit of dark news, the Jets have now gone 13 straight seasons without making the playoffs. That is the longest active drought across the NFL, NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball. The Jets last made the playoffs in 2010. That's just made the playoffs. That's not won a playoff game. That's just made the postseason. It's 13 years since that's happened.
I mean, that's got to be. Is that Rex Ryan? I mean, I feel like it has to be.
Probably. Yeah, I think it has to be. Yeah, I think.
But yeah, I don't
Who
know.
else?
Gase obviously didn't win anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to go back through and think who in the world would have, but yeah. That's insane. You can't even stumble into a playoff win at that point. And you've got to be getting good draft picks, high draft picks. And I mean, they just sold. We talked about it, man. You sold yourself this year all in on Aaron Rodgers, a 39-year-old quarterback. And it was either going to be a boom or bust. And boy, it busted hard. So,
yes, no doubt about that. And then I had one other thing. Well, I don't know. Did you see? I got two other quick things, actually. But did you see that the Panthers, the Carolina Panthers, were selling tickets for 50 cents to their game this past weekend?
That they somehow magically pulled off, which don't ask me how they managed to do that.
Yeah.
But they managed to pull it off.
But you're actually selling for 50 cents. I'm sorry. Let me, in fact, just so that everybody knows that I'm not making this up, let me bring it up here. 45 cents is actually what it is. The cheapest tickets for Falcons versus Panthers, 45 cents.
That stadium was a ghost town.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's crazy is that, okay, you could go for that cheap and still people aren't interested in going to a Panthers game.
Nah.
Pocket change could go to, you could make it to an NFL game and nobody was there, man. There was absolutely no one there.
You'd find 50 cents just on the ground.
Right.
Be like,
Yeah, just walk around a parking lot, you can find it.
Yeah, it's better in my pockets.
Ugh. Yeah, and then, last thing I'll say, I saw this and I thought this was, it's important to look back sometimes on what's happening with teams. And I got one other thing I'm going to touch on with the Chargers. But man, I thought this one was very, very good to look at. And in fact, I'll go ahead and I'm just going to share my screen so you can see this list really quickly. This is looking at when Ron Rivera was hired as the head coach for Washington. This was the team's starting offensive line. Trent Williams, Wes Schweitzer, Chase Roulier, Brandon Sheriff, Morgan Moses. Every position on that line now is worse. Trent Williams is dominating in San Francisco. I mean, obviously Brandon Sheriff's in Jacksonville now. Morgan Moses is with the Ravens. And all of these guys, they're worse now. And here's the other thing. When you're looking at all of these players and then, you've spent all the draft capital, not to mention Montez Sweat just had 3 sacks on Sunday for the Bears. He still leads Washington in sacks for the season.
Oh my
He
gosh.
still has the Washington
Pretty
lead.
sure he now leads Chicago in sacks as well.
So he's leading two teams.
Could not possibly have ever been done before. That you were going to somehow end the season leading two teams in sacks.
Yeah. I mean, and so that tells you, like, okay, look at the quality that they've brought in, what they've done with it since they got it, and then what it's gone on to do. And the talent has been in Washington. They just couldn't do anything with it. And unfortunately, that's coaching. There's no argument there. That's coaching. If you have the talent and you can't get the talent to play, that's coaching.
It's also thinking that you're smarter than everyone else too, because the whole thing with Brandon Sheriff was like, oh my gosh, we wasted a first round draft pick on a guard. What are we doing? There's no chance we can pay him this kind of money. And now you're out there searching for the next Brandon Sheriff. We talk about this all the time. Teams that want to get rid of these players when you're looking for the next Montez Sweat, you're looking for the next Brandon Sheriff. Yeah, say what you will about Chase. There's a lot of negativity. I think he probably needed to get out of Washington. It was just one of those, he's too close to home type of a situation.
Yeah.
But you're looking for these guys, and now you're trading them away for pennies. Sheriff, you let walk. You got nothing for him. And, now they're thriving with these other teams. And it's just, it's such an indictment on you, your front office. And let's be honest, Rivera's the front office. So, he's, I'm not going to pay a guard this money. Well, now you're looking for a guard. Now you're looking for the next person to come in, Now you've got, now there's questions going into next year, whether or not, Sam Howell is even the guy based on, he gets benched and, oh, goodness, forgive me. Their backup quarterback.
Jacoby, right? Jacoby
Brissett comes in and leads them back, quickly leads them back. And now you have questions about him. And it's like, man, you are leaving this team in shambles. Like this was you let him hang around 2 years too long. I've mentioned it way too many times what my theory is on why he was still there. I'm not going to bring it up again. I just can't imagine any other coach would have been allowed to hang out this long for a team. So,
well, and there are certain scenarios, and I don't want to belabor the point, but Bill Belichick is one, Ron Rivera is another. It has shown that very few guys are good at being a general manager and a head coach. And look, I mean, let's face it, Belichick teams won for a long time, but it wasn't typically because of the talent that they were drafting and the depth that they built. The reality is they're two completely different jobs, two completely separate skill sets. And in any other aspect of our lives, you wouldn't go to like a mechanic who's also a really good surgeon. That's just not going to be what you do, right? You're not going to have your dentist also be your plumber. Like those are two completely separate skill sets. And you want specialists in those things. I want a really, really, really good coach. I just want him to be able to coach. And then I want a really, really, really good GM. I want the best of the best. And then have them work well together, but not have one guy and you give the keys to the kingdom, because too often it doesn't work out very well. And you don't need to do it. The game is so specialized in every other way. Every other way. There are not just offensive coordinators. There's running game coordinators, passing game coordinators, tight ends coaches, wide receivers coaches. Everything across the board is specialized. And yet some teams want to try to save a couple bucks and have a coach and a GM all in one role. And it just doesn't make sense. It does not make sense to continue to do it that way.
You can't ever just give the keys to one guy and let him just have carte blanche, because of course he's going to pick the guys he wants. I mean, and we talked about it ad nauseum, like just missing on your first round draft picks. And again, looks like Washington, it's early. I'll give you that. But they take Emmanuel Forbes at 16. The guy is so tiny, so small. He's just getting eaten alive out there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you pass on Christian Gonzalez. Granted, he's hurt, but
he played really well before he got hurt, though.
Yes, he was playing, Pro Bowl level good. And then you also pass on Deontay Banks, who goes to Maryland. You know him; he's in your backyard. and you pass on him, and he looks like another home run as well. So
Yeah.
you can't miss on these, and you have to separate the two. You've got to have, sure, coaches need their say. I'm not saying, coaches don't get say and staff
Sure.
and players and everything else. But, when it comes down to it, like, you need people that know football and live and breathe it. And, like, that's what their job is to do, not coach and then go and scout as well.
Right,
So
right.
it's just such a bad mix.
Well, and the other thing I'll touch on briefly here is, we talked a minute about it, or talked about it a minute ago, which is the Chargers cleaning house. And we've talked previously about, is that a possible Bill Belichick destination there in LA for the Chargers? I honestly think it's going to be Jim Harbaugh. But that's just me, because he coached Stanford. He's, he knows that area well. It would be a very easy move for him. He's got good roots there, and he could go in and make something happen. However, separate from that is whoever takes over that job. This is an idea of the Chargers' 2024 salary cap challenges.
Oh, gosh.
They owe Khalil Mack over $38.5 million. They're going to owe Joey Bosa $36.6 million. Just those two guys alone are almost getting paid like quarterbacks. Keenan Allen, $34.7 million. Mike Williams, $32.4 million. J.C. Jackson, who doesn't even play on the team anymore, is owed almost $21 million. Derwin James, almost $20 million. Justin Herbert, almost $20 million. So this is looking like a pretty complete or near complete rebuild in LA for the Chargers.
And all a year nothing, and boy, it turned into nothing really, really quick. I honestly, you got to think the first four are probably gone. I mean, I don't. Mike Williams definitely, Keenan Allen for sure. Khalil, who's, I don't know, second, third in the NFL right now in sacks. Bosa hasn't done a ton this year. Derwin James is another possibility. Like, this is going to be a complete and total overhaul. This is why someone like Bill may not come in knowing this. I mean, he's not dumb. He's going to be able to see, like, wait a second.
Right.
You're going to have to get rid of all these guys. You can extend, we've always talked about the salary cap as just a fairy tale, but at some point that bill comes due. So, I mean, it's, it's due. You're not going to restructure all of them. Not that I don't, maybe you can, but I don't see how you're going to restructure all of them and be able to do it. Maybe they take pay cuts or whatever, but that salary cap is on the books. So you're going to have to get very, very creative and find a way to be able to bring all those guys back.
And they don't even have a GM now. They don't even have a GM. So you've got
who's coming into that position?
Whoever the new GM is walking into like an incredibly extensive amount of work to negotiate the labyrinth of extensions, cuts, new contacts, free agents, franchise tags that are going to have to be laid out in order to be able to salvage some type of competitive team in LA for the Chargers. It's going to be a big job.
Yes, and you're doing this with an owner who has the itchiest trigger finger and will cut you in 3 years. He's going to fire you in 3 years. How are you going to rebuild a team like that and make them competitive in 3 years? If you're a coach that needs to commit, I think honestly, even with Herbert, San Diego might be one of the worst head coaching spots. And we've talked about it. There's probably going to be minimally, I think probably 7 head coaching spots come open. I think a few more may surprise us, but would you take that over the Bears position? Would you take that over, Carolina? Would you take that over, I don't know, New England? What would you take that over? Like, there's not too many spots outside of it just being in California that that you're going to take over this job. I mean, this is a bad spot they're in. So it could be some very lean times for a little while.
Going to be dicey. Okay, so now that we are as far behind schedule as we could possibly be, let's just briefly look ahead to this coming week. Of course, we've got not only Christmas ahead, but some important things as well. With some very important and impressive NFL games and NFL scheduling coming up here over the holiday weekend. So Give me anything that jumps out at you game wise. What are you seeing that you're very excited about? Check out?
Well, I tell you, Jags Bucks going to be a very good game. That's in Tampa. Jags are reeling right now. You have the Colts playing the Falcons. I mean, it's in Atlanta, but that could be right there where the division flips all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Cowboys Dolphins is going to be another good one. And then, there's a Thursday night game, Saints and Rams, that has a lot of playoff implications for both teams. So it's going to be a good slate of games. I mean, nothing that's like, oh my gosh, heavyweights versus heavyweights, but there's a lot of teams, even Bengals Steelers, Steelers are right now, I think, in the 10th spot. But a win puts them right back into the playoffs. So, I mean, it's, a lot of big games this week as far as playoff seeding, positioning, and everything else is concerned.
Agreed. And Cowboys Dolphins that's going to be an interesting one to see. I have no idea how that shakes out. I think that'll be a good one. Selfishly, but even separate from selfishly, I just think everyone's going to be looking at it as the game of the week. Christmas night, Ravens, Niners. I mean, that's a game, right? I mean, that's right now the number one AFC team against the number one NFC team going against each other. I mean, this could possibly be a Super Bowl preview. And it happens Christmas night, national television. I mean, man, the schedule gods really smiled upon this one, man. That's going to be, the ratings are going to be huge for that game. And guess what? The other side of it too might go a long way toward determining the MVP in that Ravens-Niners game. Because if Lamar goes out and has a massive game and Purdy were to throw a couple picks and not play very well, I don't know. Could get awfully interesting. So, I'm going to be very, very curious. That easily is the game of the week. But there are some other very, very good-looking games on the schedule.
Yeah, this is going to be actually on ABC as well as ESPN. So it's
nice.
Definitely a big-time game for them. They got to be like, oh, thank God. We got a good one finally. So,
yeah. So, all right, so that's going to kind of settle it, I think, for NFL stuff. Now I want to jump into some other stuff that I saw over the weekend, some other really, crazy stuff. I don't know. Did you see this fight that happened in the UFC 296? And in the crowd, Sean Strickland, and I know I'm mispronouncing this, Dricus du Plessis. I know I'm way off on that pronunciation.
Yeah,
did you see this, what happened in the crowd with those guys?
Yeah, I did.
Dude, it is so so here's the full, I'm going to do a quick screen share, but essentially, let me mute this here. Okay, so Strickland stands up. He acts like he's shooting him. And then, du Plessis is behind him still kind of like laughing, trying to get a reaction. And, whatever, it kind of goes. They talk a little trash back and forth. And, kind of goes as it goes. Now you realize that what happens is, and I'm just kind of skipping around a little bit, they kind of get into a whole scuffle and, everything here. Strickland tells the kids to move out of the way.
Come on, kids.
He's telling the kid, oh, please, excuse me, could you get out of the way? And then just leaps into the crowd and starts punching him. And then they have to pull him apart. And I mean, look, the UFC knows how to hype things up. Like, they have gotten incredibly good at figuring out the hype and the argument between these things. I mean, and it just went on in the crowd. There's Chuck Liddell, the Iceman out there. I mean, it's just, there's so much happening, and it just continues to keep people interested, keep people pumped up about these fights. And, they've definitely taken a little bit of a WWE approach to some of their stuff.
100%.
And it will certainly get tired at some point, and some would argue it already has. With some of the histrionics from Colby Covington and some of these other guys that will just do anything to get attention and say all kinds of crazy things. But look, at the end of the day, the pay-per-views are doing well. The numbers are great. The money's rolling in. I mean, it's working.
Can't argue.
So,
you can't argue
with the results.
You look at those throws or punches, I'll say punches that he threw. I mean, for being a professional fighter, those weren't landing very well. So yeah, just amazing. They're right behind each other, and yeah.
Yep.
But hey,
cameraman's right there to take advantage of it. You know,
exactly.
It all works out.
Okay, all right. We'll move you out of the way and let me jump in here and pretend like I'm throwing. Yeah. You gonna watch the fight now?
Nah. Yeah. But I won't be watching it, but I wasn't gonna watch it anyway, so it's fine.
I'll check the scorecard at the end. You know,
that's right.
What
exactly.
Report has to say. They keep up with it pretty well. So
yeah, I'll see who won. Okay, so man, I've got some other stuff here. So many directions to go in, but let's take this one on. The world's first pickleball stadium is coming to Fort Lauderdale. They're calling it the Fort, which again, not the most creative name when you're putting in a Fort Lauderdale, but it's the first dedicated pickleball stadium. It's going to have a fitness and recovery center, 43 professional courts, 14 weatherproof courts, a pro shop, and is set to be completed in 2024. And this is what
next year.
Yeah. And this is what the world's first pickleball stadium will look like.
I ain't gonna lie, it's impressive.
It is really impressive. I mean, this is a shrine to pickleball. My mother is a very accomplished pickleball player.
Listen, I'm there with her. Everyone always comments that, first off, that we look alike. I don't see it, and that it's usually one of us looking, 10 years into the future at our future selves.
We won't say which was which.
Yeah. And we're literally, I think, 1 year apart. So I'm not sure what that says for one of us. But I thoroughly enjoy pickleball. I've got a bunch of rackets here and play whenever the opportunity arises. Fun game. I
have never played pickleball, but I will tell you this, and I was not joking. My mother's a very accomplished pickleball player. She plays every day, hours a day. And she was recently in Florida, actually, for a month in the Sarasota area and played down there. Like picked up, found a team down there, started playing down there. She actually went and toured the IMG Academy while she was down in Sarasota. So, yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, it's
the seniors division pickleball. I like it. Right. I like her style.
She's no joke when it comes to her pickleball, man. So I take interest in it. I've never played it. I know you've played it and you enjoy it, and she loves it, and she's done very well with it. It's all new to me, but I know it is a massive, massive game. People love it to the point where now clearly in Fort Lauderdale, which is not expensive property or not inexpensive property to buy, they can see fit to build a stadium for pickleball. And if you can justify that as something that's going to have 43 courts and a fitness and recovery center, you got to believe there's plenty of money and plenty of popularity in pickleball, and people don't see it going
for sure. I mean, you look at like the world's #1 pickleball player, they're all professional tennis players who are ranked 200, 250 in the world, which I don't care what you say. If you're ranked 250 in the world for anything, you're doing pretty darn good.
Pretty good. Yeah.
But, you're probably not winning a lot on the, on the tennis tour.
Yeah.
But these guys are coming in here and making more money playing pickleball, becoming world's #1, kind of setting the stage for it. I mean, it's fascinating. There's actually, of course, all the malls now are kind of, they always put the big box things in there, Sears, JCPenney's. Yeah. A lot of those are going out. All the Sears are gone now. There's a mall not too far from me who's actually taking, I want to say it's the old Sears place, and turning it into a indoor pickleball court. I just think it's fascinating, fantastic how something like that. I mean, it's not the pickleball has been around for 4 years, but really it's, it's been around a long time, but it's really just now starting to gain, some mainstream, some mainstream popularity. So, yeah, very smart.
Yeah, I only became aware of pickleball more recently. But it turned out like my wife played it in high school and stuff. Like I had never had any
Oh,
exposure to
yeah.
pickleball.
I was to say no. I would say my exposure probably came 5 or 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah. Same there. Also, some folks are, out there, look, it's the holiday season, right? It's the end of the year. People start making New Year's resolutions. They start looking ahead to, changes they want to make. Some people want go on a diet. They want to lose weight. They want to be healthier, things like that. Some people want to find a new job. And so people that are looking for employment, the public is now able to apply for Iowa's offensive coordinator vacancy. Literally, assistant football coach, offensive coordinator in Iowa. And it is just open to the public. Anyone can apply for this job. So if you're out there and you've been thinking that maybe you missed your calling, you can step right in to the offensive coordinator job at Iowa.
Cannot be that hard to beat out what the other offensive coordinator there did. So
that's right, the bar is low.
The bar is very low. So
yeah, somebody said that this is what the previous Iowa offensive coordinator was doing. Let me zoom in here. So that was their previous. So this is what you're up against. If you want to become the new Iowa offensive coordinator, this is the previous playbook that was in place for you.
Yeah. So glad the Big Ten's getting away from the two divisions, because this is what we get. We get a Michigan-Iowa game for the championship.
Seriously.
So glad bizarre. They're getting away from that.
And then look, sometimes you end up in a situation, and some of us get lucky, right? If you've ever been in a scenario where you get an opportunity to maybe, have a little bit of a brush with fame or fortune, you can do really well. Your moment in the sun, your 15 minutes of fame. It's important that you handle it well if you ever are able to get that. And
I won't, but I appreciate you. Appreciate you warning me.
Well, here's an example of what not to do. You may have seen this video.
I feel so bad for this man. This is awful.
This guy gets a chance to come out. He's apparently in the military. Looks like that's like an Air Force thing. He gets to come out at halftime of an NBA game. And, hey, it's just score as many points as you can, and kind of go through. Well, let's watch together what happens. I will keep the volume off so that we can discuss it. This guy has no idea what a basketball is. He may think it's shaped as a hexagon. He can't dribble it. Can't do anything with it. He has not touched the rim yet. That's, seriously. No. It just goes right into the crowd. This is an insurance claim waiting to happen.
The crowd's like, what the fuck? Some old lady gets her glasses broken. Sorry, man. Yeah. Now, in fairness, that was Stanley Hudson's son. So
that's right. That's all the hand behind him.
You got to be kidding me.
And you go out there and it's like, are you happy at that point? Or are you like, okay, so tell me about this game, basketball. What do I do with this? Like
basket. So my weaving weaving? I'm good at that.
This is never going to go away from this guy. Hopefully he has a really good sense of humor, because it isn't going to change.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, an undiagnosed medical condition that makes everyone feel bad for him.
That's right. That's the best case scenario for him, is an undiagnosed medical condition.
Like he has to, they have to give him the opportunity to all right, dude, go and practice for the next year. Yes. And come back and redeem yourself. They've got to give him that opportunity. I don't even know what that was for. Was that a college game, a pro game?
I think it was an NBA game, but I'm honestly not 100% sure. I clicked off
whoever
of
that
it, so
team that was. Tell this guy to go practice and invite him back same time next year.
Yeah.
And see if he can redeem himself.
Give him a solid. He looks like he needs a year.
Yeah, this isn't like, hey, come back in a couple of weeks. No. We need a year. So
this guy, he was treating the basketball as if it was covered in spiders. So get it out of here. Get it away from me. So
in all of your life, you've never shot a basket.
Oh, it just never came up. Never came up for him at all.
No, man. I'm really into books and airplanes.
That's right.
Fair.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they chose you to come out.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't they have a practice beforehand?
You could have bailed on this for sure. You could just be like, no, I'm good. Thanks. No, this is a mistake.
Look, I don't even know what this sport is. Like, please.
Yeah.
But he's like, I can do it.
It's like the equivalent of like if you got brought into a spelling bee, but you were illiterate. Where you're like, I mean, look, there's literally no reason for me to be here. Is hashtag a letter? There's no reason that I'm going to be doing this.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's so embarrassing and awful. Hopefully he has a good, a good sense of humor. Because what else can you do but laugh at yourself?
That's literally the only thing. It's
or
going to kill
hiding.
yourself.
Or go into hiding. Yeah. Yeah. Just because, live off the grid, whatever you got to do.
Right.
So
that's right.
Change your name.
Well, dude, I saw this thing here the other day. Now, I've never heard of what this is, right? So this, and I'm looking this up right now. Like, I want to make sure before I do this, I believe that I know how many pounds 3,500 kilograms is. But
67, I think.
Yeah, is that what it is? Because I thought it was right around. It's 7,700. I have it
not
as
67. Okay, yeah, I was off just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay,
3,500 kilograms is 7,716 pounds. There's a reason that I wanted to get this right, because it is a new thing that I have just found, and I've never heard of this before. But this is a pit bull pulling a 7,700 pound vehicle or amount of weight. It's on wheels, but look at this. There's a crowd. Like, people are cheering this on. And look at that dog. How do you train? I mean, he has 2 harnesses on, pulling this immense weight, pulling over 7,700 pounds. And in fact, I can put the that's why I only had the
that's better. Yeah, that's
exactly.
better. Yeah.
So they put no music on. There's no, I guess they don't have like play-by-play announcers on this, but yes, that is a thing now where you can have dogs pulling. Now, I don't like the idea of this.
Nah, it seems awful. Like, there's no chance that's good for the dog.
Exactly. It borders way too closely on the chance of injury and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not good. They should not
slip
be
a disc. I mean,
Yeah.
break a leg, something. God, I mean, it's impressive.
Very impressive.
That is is that a pit bull? That looked like that had to be something like a bull mastiff or something. Like, there's no chance that's a regular pit bull, is it?
Right.
I mean, if it is, that's even more impressive. Yeah. Jeez, man.
7,700 pounds, man.
Could you get off the stardom? Could you move it?
That's a great question. I mean, I have to think yes, because I just watched a dog do it. So I really want to say yes.
Yeah.
I have to believe so. I think so, but it's a great question because I do not know the answer to it. Yeah, I have no idea.
I think back in my day, so I don't look like it now, but I used to be a bodybuilder, and I
sure
let myself go pretty heavy. So
pretty bad.
Clearly that's why one of us looks like we're 10 years older than the other. But yes. I entered a few with my my gym, my local gym. We entered like these strongman contests, and I had to pull oh my gosh, it was like a Chevy S10 or something, like up a hill or something.
Right.
And man, I was in great shape, and I was struggling with that thing.
Of course.
So I'm not sure 7,700 pounds. I don't know.
They say in the description, they say it's a pit bull. Now, that doesn't mean that this is, maybe exactly correct.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. I mean, I'm not up on my dogs, but I've seen pit bulls, and I've never seen one look like that. So they probably are juicing that thing up, man. I kind of feel bad for the pit bull. Like, he just listening to his owner, like, okay.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this sport,
it's
but
impressive.
I did think it was insane to see.
Very, very, very impressive and insane. But yeah, that's just borders on animal cruelty at that point.
Right.
So definitely we're not condoning it. We're not saying go out and watch an episode of the dog sled championship. So I don't even know what you would call that, but it's impressive.
It is impressive. And then speaking of impressive, we talked last week on the show about Shohei Ohtani's new contract, $700 million over the course of 10 years. And I saw this little thing with Ohtani. Now, I'm going to show it to you. You tell me if you think this is real or fake. This is a little thing they did with Shohei, and I'll play volume. I think there's some, it's fine, but I don't think it'll add anything. But essentially, Shohei's on the baseball field. He has, okay, you know what? Never mind. Let me mute this. This is horrible. I forgot that this is from like a Japanese station or something like that. It's like some Japanese TV station. I don't know. I can't. Immediately, I was like, nope,
La
no way.
Casa del Baseball, so I'm assuming that's Mexican,
it's Japanese.
isn't it?
That's Japanese.
Okay, for sure. Same languages, yeah. It's very similar. Just different dialect.
Japanese is rooted in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
okay.
But yeah, so here he is. He's on Shohei is on the baseball field. He's got just hanging out, t-shirt on, bottle of water, and walks over. They have 2 bottles of water set up on the pitcher's mound, just sitting on the mound. And so they essentially challenge him. He takes a little swig of water. He takes a ball, and he throws the ball. Boom! Knocks over one of the bottles.
Okay.
And they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, here, take a bat." Takes a ball and a bat, and then hits the baseball and knocks over the other water bottle from home plate to the pitcher's mound.
Can you rewind that back there and pause it at the very beginning?
Yes. Right here?
Yeah. Is that guy missing a leg?
It does look right in this area like there's a lot missing. But I will say, maybe because this leg looks a little like off too. It could be maybe because it's like he's up against the green. Maybe he has like something blends together. Because I see what appears to be a shoe.
This? I see one leg and shoe, but I do not see the other one.
Yeah. So maybe that answers whether or not this is real or fake. Yeah. Because maybe this is all a green screen type setup here. Other people do appear to have all of their appendages and
it does look like
extremities.
Including Shohei.
Yeah, Shohei's got it. So there's no issues there. And yeah, I mean, that's realistic, right? He could throw and hit the water bottle.
I would think so, yeah.
Could he hit the baseball from home plate? One shot? I mean, they do this as if it is a continuous single shot.
I don't trust anything these days. It's probably AI.
Yeah, I think it's AI. They just typed in, make Shohei Ohtani throw a baseball and then hit one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty cool, if nothing else. And a smart way for some of these companies to be able to kind of go, a little viral and get people talking about it.
I'm assuming, was he promoting water at that point, or he was promoting the non-use of water?
That's right.
Like this was a soda commercial. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, get rid of this. My guess is like the water is what makes him able to do these amazing things. Maybe I don't know. But again, the rich Japanese tradition that comes from Casa del Baseball is one that I don't know enough about. So I'm not enriched in that way.
It's definitely steeped in tradition and
it is
and mystery. Apparently,
it is a mystery to us Westerners. We have not yet pierced the shroud of Casa del Baseball
in Japan.
Yeah, so who's to say any of that? But so here's another thing. Speaking of whether or not something is real, you mentioned you don't trust anything. Here's something to not trust. If you get your Mark Jackson baseball card out from your collection, you might see 2 people sitting in the background that look familiar to you. Those 2 people are none other than the Menendez brothers.
Oh my God.
Famous for murdering their parents. This is one of the biggest cases in history. It was not all that far from the time around O.J. Simpson and his trial. And here sitting at the game are the Menendez brothers. And that is printed on a Mark Jackson NBA hoops card when he played for the Knicks.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So 2 murderers,
nobody
two sibling
recognized
murderers.
that until recently. I mean, this is just something that came out
Yeah.
a couple of year ago, maybe as when I maybe first started hearing about it.
Yeah.
I just, that's amazing. Like someone's looking through the card and no one's looking at the people in the stands,
Right.
because I think there's another card out there with maybe like, I don't know, Paula Abdul's in it or something. It was like something like that. I can't remember, but imagine that. Yeah, they just happen to be sitting courtside and take a picture and put it on a card. Jeez.
Yeah, it's like, again, you wouldn't think anything of it. It's just two young guys sitting courtside, great seats at an NBA game.
Yeah.
And those same dudes go and murder their parents and become massively well known and infamous. And there it is.
You could tell how hard of a life they had. They were sitting courtside
That's right.
at a Knicks game. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to feel bad for them. You got to sympathize a little bit.
I mean, that the trial would be like evidence number one that they had a pretty cushy life. Here they are on a baseball card, a basketball card. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't see the parents with them, so they're there by themselves. No telling when exactly. I need to get the date on this game.
That's exactly right. Wouldn't that be something else too?
Yeah, golly. So then I saw this video the other day, and look, I am not. We are not big on the show of making fun of people. We laugh about things, we see things that are humorous, and we find humor in everyday life. And certainly on our other show, on the big show, we talk about it's even more expanded beyond sports and its culture and its politics and headlines and everything else, funny things. But sometimes someone can kind of put a target on their own back. Zion Williamson in the NBA is one of those guys who has just put a target on his back in a million different ways. And he's undergone a lot of criticism. And recently, Zion was being interviewed, and they were asking him about like what he can improve on and what he's seeing. And here is what Zion described himself and maybe some teammates as.
I think we kind of went into the game too, like Castegas.
Play it again. I gotta try to understand exactly what he said.
Yeah, parse out each single area as you can. Okay. Again, Zion Williamson describing him and his teammates' effort in a recent game.
I think we kind of went into the game too, like Castegas.
Okay, so
like I was trying to did he try to say lazy and then he just no, that definitely wasn't it.
He's attempting lackadaisical.
Sure.
He somehow squeezed a bunch of Z's and X's in there that wouldn't be. And again, sometimes pull the ripcord, man. If you don't know the word, just bail on the word.
Bail on the word. Just don't push through it. Not when you're being interviewed for national television.
Yes.
Yeah. Just
so one more
bail.
time, Zion. Tell us about you and your teammates' effort tonight.
I think we kind of went into the game too, like Castegas.
Okay. Latkadagisko is how Zion.
Poor Zion. He cannot catch a break.
No. Can't get out of his own way. Can't get out of his own way. I mean, yeah. And it's like if you're a reporter in that room, are you just straight faced
I see. This is I would just be busting up. That's probably why I can never be a reporter because I'd be like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. Wait, you couldn't mean that? Were you putting a curse on me? What did you just do?
Whoa! I don't need no X's around
Christmas
evil
time.
On me?
Don't you put that evil on me and my family? I think that was straight out of Hogwarts.
Chairs start floating. Come on, Zion.
I mean, I don't know, man. That's a 4-second clip, but I could listen to it all day long.
Oh, I mean, it might be my ringtone if I ever turn my phone off silent.
Yeah, I mean, some good stuff there. Whether you like it or not, it is it's fascinating. And then before we close out the show, I have one more thing. But before that, just wanted to throw it over to you. Do you have anything that I forgot to touch on? Any points you wanted to make that maybe we did not get a chance to, anything that would have gotten missed?
Oh no, I think we ran the gambit this week for sure. So
We did indeed. Okay.
yeah, I think we're
So
good.
one more thing here that I thought was really telling. Okay, I'm just gonna describe it as that. I was pulling some stats and some information here recently, and this is the best-selling sports drinks over the last 52 weeks. So the last year. Gatorade, $7.1 billion, up 7%. Number 2 is Body Armor at $1.4 billion. So Gatorade is almost 7 times bigger than the number 2 drink. And Body Armor's down 11%. Powerade, which I feel like you never hear about anymore, did $1.2 billion. They're up 0.4%. And then Prime from YouTube star and boxer and everything else, Logan Paul, $565 million. It's up 896%. And then something called Electrolyte, which I've never even heard of, $425 million. It's up 21%. Now, obviously, Prime hasn't been out all that long, which is why it's up 896%. But it's amazing because of the fact that it hasn't been out that long. If you think about the power of good marketing and YouTube and all of these things, that you can come out with a sports drink and in your first year do over $500 million in sales, be up nearly 900%, and the number 4 sports drink in the US. And again, easy striking distance into spots number 2 and 3 there, after being on the market a little longer here.
No, it's completely genius. I mean, because he gets, my 8-year-old loves drinking Prime. He doesn't need electrolytes. Right. He's not out there running marathons, but loves it. And it's because of Logan Paul. It's because, not that he watches a ton of anything that they do,
right?
But his friends do, his cousins do. And so it's the cool thing. So he's hitting the right market. I mean, he really is. He's probably got that market of the, 8 to 20-year-olds at this point, which, that's not necessarily your prime market right now. But as they grow up, we grew up with Gatorade. Gatorade tasted awful when we were kids. I mean, but you drank it because Michael Jordan drank Gatorade. And they're doing the same thing. Oh, these guys drink it, so I want to drink it. He just bought one the other day at Target. Now they got I don't know, they had this red, white, and blue one. I don't even know what it was. I don't know. I tasted one sip of it and I was like, it is what it is, right? Yeah. But now they have 6, 8 different flavors. It's you can hate them and say everything in the book about them, but marketing is not one of the things you can cut these guys up on because they are genius. And they're just going to wait around for someone to probably Gatorade to come in and say, ooh, getting a little too close for comfort, and buy him up for $1 billion, maybe more. So he's going to be the next billionaire here in the next 3 to 5 years. I will almost guarantee it.
Well, and you want to take a guess on whether or not that valuation just went up based on this that just launched? They just, within the last 24 hours, Prime has signed Patrick Mahomes to be a brand ambassador.
I might go down now.
I mean, can you imagine? They've been out for less than a year, and they're already the preferred sports drink of a multitude of different teams. And I'm talking on a global level. I think it's Bayern Munich in soccer and all these things that Prime is the official sports drink. And they're just spreading so quickly into all these things. And now they've signed Patrick Mahomes and they're just going after all of these things. So Prime, again, like you said, hate or love Logan Paul, it doesn't matter. You got to tip your hat to what he's been able to do with this brand of Prime. And since they've put out that sports drink, it has blown up. It's incredible.
Exactly. They're going to be they'll be billionaires here in the next 3 to 5 years. I will guarantee it, unless something just completely comes out, which very well could. They'll be the next billionaires. And for nothing, they literally haven't done anything. Like,
No.
they're YouTube people. They're not sports athletes or anything. They're just YouTubers.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. So just really briefly, along with Mahomes, Prime's partnership portfolio includes star athletes like Erling Haaland of Manchester City and Israel Adesanya of MMA, UFC, as well as teams like Arsenal of the English Premier League and the LA Dodgers of the Major League Baseball, among others. So they are the official sports drink of the Dodgers. Who benefited more than Prime from the Dodgers just signing Shohei Ohtani? So now Prime all of a sudden gets even more focus on it. They were already locked in as the exclusive sports drink of the Dodgers, and now you have the Dodgers making deals with Ohtani. I mean, it's like everything is coming up aces for Logan Paul right now.
Exactly. Now, with that said, we got some exciting news ourselves here. We're going to be coming out with You Get the Horn Show and Acids. For those after 7 o'clock p.m. meals that just don't sit right.
Hey, we know our demographic. We know our people. We know our people. We take care of them.
That's it. So look for that on our shop and
we are
in stores near you.
We shouldn't say too much about this, but we are in early negotiations with Antonio Brown, potential spokesman.
Oscar Pistorius. So we're getting the best of the best. We're trying to hit all different genres of sports. So, yeah.
Yes. I mean, and that's what you need. You really want to run the gamut of all of the different things that are out there and really cast a wide net. That's going to be what brings the people in. And, I think we're still probably a few years away from that coveted Joey Chestnut endorsement, but
when that
going to put us over the
when
top.
That hits.
That's easy. We're printing money at that point. We are printing money once Joey Chestnut signs up for our antacid.
What do I take after eating 67 hot dogs? It writes itself. It writes itself.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't even need that. We don't even need to be part of it. It's just it's literally on cruise control at that point. This is an autopilot campaign. We don't have to do much of anything. It's so easy. Yeah, but congratulations, I guess, are in order there to Logan Paul and the Prime brand for continuing to do crazy things, because there's no doubt about one thing. Gatorade is definitely the 800-pound gorilla of the sports drink. I mean, they are almost 7 times bigger than the number 2 brand. And when you think about the fact that the number 2 brand is actually down, Body Armor's down, Powerade is basically level, and then you have Prime up nearly 900%, that's not going to continue like that forever. But, the more of these moves that they're able to make, the more that they will start to encroach. And I think it's very realistic within the next 2 or 3 years. I think it's very possible the Prime could be number 2 behind only Gatorade for sports drinks, at least in the U.S.
Yeah, I think if Gatorade lets it get to that point, I mean, they
have with others, though. They have with Body Armor. They have with Powerade. Gatorade has not made a lot of acquisitions to kind of protect their spot there. So
I don't think they were probably concerned at that point. Honestly, I would have said Powerade would have been the number 2. I know twice about Body Armor. I'm not even sure I've ever drank a Body Armor, and for them to be 2 is kind of crazy to me too. So
agreed. Yeah, I was surprised by that too. I would have thought Powerade, and it is interesting too because Gatorade is owned by Pepsi. I could not remember if it was Coke or Pepsi that owned Gatorade. So Pepsi owns Gatorade. So I mean, let's face it, right? Pepsi has deep enough pockets that they can buy somebody up if they wanted to. Yeah. And it's just another brand in their portfolio at that point. So yeah, I mean, prevents you from cannibalizing yourself, and it's smart enough. Pepsi's looking at it like, hey, we make soda, but we're also going to make sports drinks and these types of things. Like, they're not worried about competition there, so why not bring another sports drink in? And again, why wouldn't you want to do that if you're a Logan Paul?
Yeah, exactly.
Sell out to Pepsi, sell out to Coke. Yeah. Coke, I think, owns Powerade, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that.
I'm pretty sure they do.
They do. Okay. So, you figure like, okay, well, Powerade is not seeing a lot of growth. Powerade is, Coca-Cola. So So it's the only time that Pepsi beats Coke is in sports drinks, because Pepsi has Gatorade and Coke has Powerade, but Coke only came out with Powerade to try to fight against Gatorade.
Right.
And so it's kind of like, if you're Coke, why not get Prime, right? And have both of them and just like start building an empire toward trying to take down Gatorade. It makes sense. It makes sense. I don't know if it'll happen, but it does make a lot of sense.
For sure.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then as far as body armor, I'm trying to just check really quickly guess who owns body armor? Coca-Cola.
Well, they own that as well.
They own body armor as well. So Coke owns both body armor and Powerade. So combined, they're still way off, but they're closer to half, maybe a third of where Gatorade is. Because if you add them together, it'd be 1.4 plus 1.2, so 2.6. So yeah, I mean, they're still only a third of the way to Gatorade if you combine number 2 and 3 together.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Gatorade definitely is dominating that market. So anyway, I think that'll basically wrap it up here for this episode of You Get the Horns Sports. And look, again, we will be off next week. Much like all of you, we will be spending time with friends and family and relaxing a little bit, enjoying the holidays. We certainly will continue to try to drop some content, just maybe not quite as much. So be checking out our YouTube page for sure. Lots of clips. Some of the things we talked about tonight that have pictures or videos, you'll be able to see on YouTube and check it out. Support us there. Make sure you subscribe, turn on your notifications, because we're dropping content all the time. You get a chance to see our stuff when it comes out. So outside of that, though, we appreciate everybody listening. We thank our audience both here in the U.S. and beyond. And we have a lot of big things in store for 2024. So not going to say too much more than that yet, but I will tell you that we're very excited. We're excited to have all of you on the ride with us. We will do our best to continue to keep you entertained. We will come back fired up in January and ready to keep things moving along. So with that, I think unless you have any last words, we'll go ahead and wrap this sucker up.
Nope. Have a Merry Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate, and a great New Year, and we'll see you in 2024.
Couldn't have said any better myself. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk soon.
Good night.
Well, you know what? They don't want us to be done yet. The outro music is not playing.
No.
No idea why. I just wanted to be done with the episode, but I can't.
Please, just...
It's not playing. I don't know why.
End.
It looks like
T-minus 10.
Let me see if the intro music's going to play. Intro music plays. Outro music does not play.
All
so
right.
we will just, at this point, we are going to go ahead and play the intro music to count down the outro. This is going to be one of the things that we're looking forward to fixing in the new year.
Yeah, we'll get that straightened out. We'll tighten it up now by 2024. Once we get our IT guy up and running. So.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We will talk soon.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,